What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a very quick Destiny 2 Season of the Seraph video. And in this one we're going to take a look at some of the new weapon stuff, so initially the new Season Pass exotic, but we'll also talk about the upcoming exotic quests this season, as well as some additional cosmetic drops and things we'll be able to acquire throughout the season. Plus we'll take a look at some of the new titles we have for the name for the new dungeon, a first look at the ritual weapon for the season, various ornaments, and a few other things which we'll cover in the video. So as always guys, I hope you find this one enjoyable, and if you do, a rating below really does help us out. But without further delay, let's get into it. Initially, let's speak about exotics. And we should mention, it looks like Season 19 is the first season for a while where we haven't seen the introduction of new exotic armor. So typically Bungie have introduced one new armor piece per class. But this season there aren't any new ones in collections, so I know there'll certainly be some sore feelings about that. Although we do know a little bit about exotic weapons. The first is the Season Pass exotic, and that's the Manticore submachine gun, and the intrinsic trait is Soaring Fang, and dealing damage while grounded charges anti-grav repulsors, and then dealing damage while airborne will extend the anti-grav repulsors, and the trait bonus is Swooping Talons, where dealing damage while airborne increases the weapon's damage output. And so basically, as you can see right here, killing targets will load up the anti-grav repulsors, and then when you jump in the air and fire the weapon, we're actually held in place, which is pretty cool. Obviously, continuing to deal damage will extend the effect, so we can essentially hover for longer, and we're able to get that additional weapon damage output. It's a little bit tricky to use at times. Obviously, if you're ever off the ground, even if you're kind of stepping across something, the perk will activate, so it can be a little bit jarring at first, although it's definitely a fun weapon. We'll see how good it is in endgame content and things like that. However, the other exotic weapon that we know about is the Revision Zero. We can't currently view the perks for this one because the database isn't up just yet, but this is going to be an exotic mission reward this season, so Bungie have said we must gain access to the most impenetrable facility in the solar system, the Braytech orbital platform above the last city, and we'll break through layers of security each week and awaken Rasputin before it's too late. So this is going to be part of the kind of season story, but also how we'll gain access to the weapon. Bungie have also said that multiple catalysts can be acquired for this weapon, and so it'll certainly be cool to check those out. Currently, we don't know what the perks will be. We are going to mention the possibility of a dungeon exotic in a moment, but separately we should note, according to the Catalyst tab, there is now a Cloud Strike catalyst which can be found in Strikes, Gambit, and the Crucible. Not sure what that does just yet, but if it's one you're interested in checking out, be sure to drop into those playlists. As always though, there are also a bunch of exotic ornaments, so there's the Season Pass ornament for the Manticore SMG, but additionally there's a new ornament called Noble Burden for the Dead Man's Tail. A bunch of these no doubt will be sold via the Eververse store. There's also the Leporine Jubilation, which is one for Risk Runner there. Then Osteostriga's getting one called Blooming Guilt. Looks a bit like a Dawning ornament of some kind. There will be a Dawning ornament for the Vex Mythoclast. I can't remember if we had this one last year, or if it's brand new for this year. And then there's stuff like Open Hands, which is an ornament for Lorentz Driver. So these are things that we'll see throughout the course of the season. Also in terms of little exotic quest threads and things like that, this one's a cosmetic item, but we'll be able to pick up the exotic ghost shell, the Warsat shell, by rebuilding Rasputin and completing the quest More Than a Weapon. And that's the main season quest for Season 19. Obviously it has something like 50 odd steps, so we'll be finishing it a little bit later on, but a pretty cool ghost shell nonetheless. We can also see various objectives for Moments of Triumph, so there's Raid Runner and Dungeon Diver. That requires the completion of Vow of Disciple, King's Fall, Duality, and then Spire of the Watcher, which is actually the new Season 19 dungeon. There's also a requirement for Raid and Dungeon Rotator challenges. There's another to achieve 10,000 Triumph score, and then a series of triumphs for completing introduction missions for various quests, as well as the overarching season quests like Operation Elbrus and Bound in Sorrow, another which is for completing all of the pirate hideouts in Season 18. Then there's one to defeat combatants in Vanguard playlists, Gambit, and the Crucible. We've got things like Trials wins, and we need round wins, of which it requires 7, a percentage triumph to complete Nightfall strikes, bounties, gaining weapon levels on crafted weapons, completing playlist activities with different subclasses, glaive kills, and then various Witch Queen objectives like completing the campaign, the legendary campaign, Vow of Disciple, King's Fall, completing Vox Obscura, the Duality Dungeon, and more. On top of that, the new title for the season is Seraph, which is a pretty cool one. And again, from the title tab, we can't see the objectives for the badge, but we see that the upcoming dungeon is called Spire of the Watcher. There's the Spire icon in the middle, but on the left-hand side, we've got the Warmind icon, and on the right-hand side, interestingly, the Tex Mechanica icon. And given that Bungie had said we'd see both kinetic and solar exotic weapons this season, Of course, on top of the SMG from the Season Pass, actually it looks like there will be 3 exotic weapons for the season. One for the dungeon, the other for the exotic mission, and currently those are classified. It does, however, seem entirely possible that, given that there's a Tex Mechanica icon alongside the dungeon there, the dungeon weapon could be from the Tex Mechanica Foundry. Definitely an exciting prospect, but I guess we'll find out a little bit later on. Final quick thing here though, the ritual weapon for the season is the Valius X pulse rifle, and we can see it rolls with chambered compensator as well as flared magwell, and then we've got repulsor brace or tunnel vision, as well as golden tricorn or kill clip. And this is an aggressive burst, a hard-hitting 4-burst fire pulse rifle, and the origin trait options are Hake breach armaments, of course Vanguard Vindication, One Quiet Moment, and Gun and Run. That can be acquired by completing the quest for any of the playlist vendors, Shax, the Drifter, or Commander Zavala. On top of that, there is all of the new Seraph weapons for this season. You can get a quick preview of them at the vendor in the helm, and perhaps when the database comes up, we'll be able to take a better look at perks and stuff like that. But for the video right here, guys, that's what we have to speak about. So as always, I hope it's been an interesting one. If it has, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Right here, we're going to run the opening cinematics for the story this season in case you wanted to catch them again. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in. I'll keep you posted with more content for the season, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.
Rasputin, the War Mind. The most powerful artificial intelligence humanity ever created. With an arsenal to match. Thousands of war sets, primed to obliterate any and all threats to humanity. But when the greatest threat of all arrived, it nearly tore Rasputin apart. I saved the pieces of him that I could, encrypted them in a specialized engram. I've been trying to restore him in an experimental exoframe, but every attempt I've made has failed. Until he's back online, all of his weaponry is up for grabs. And it's only a matter of time before his warsats fall into the wrong hands.
Savathun couldn't conceal every thought. Some I stole. One of Neptune. The collapse. A turning point. It's a blur. I cannot focus.
Pass me the wrench?
The Hidden found nothing there, but I saw it. Through the Witch Queen's eyes. A city set against the waves.
Sounds like a trick.
Cora thinks I need to rest. The gall. You've really made no progress while I was indisposed.
Is that why you're here, Osiris?
Cora won't listen.
Wonder where she got that from. Red's scrambled in there. Degrading. He's dying.
The War Mind is our greatest bastion of Golden Age data. I need what it knows.
I've tried everything. I can't even access his protocols.
But perhaps your grandfather could.
Osiris? That man? No. Clovis Bray is a maniac. A selfish, murderous monster.
So was Rasputin. But it might be the only option I have left. Just as Clovis might be yours. When did hope cease to require risk?